All right, so it looks like I'm live here now. I'm just waiting for my YouTube page to update. Looks like we got it there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and share this with Twitter here. If I can get that. There it goes. Let me know if you guys can hear me here. I think I can do this by going to Docs and Chat. There we go. Sounds good. Thank you, Gigi. Yes, it is cold. It's now 32.1 degrees at my house here. Let me get the live stream on Twitter here. Got about an hour here we can do. So let's do some Q&A here. And if you guys see, I've got the windy chart up here. And if you look closely, you can kind of see those northerlies coming down the sound here. And you've got the onshore flow still bringing in the moisture off the Pacific Ocean here. There's kind of a little bit of a battleground here just on the north portion is SeaTac, and those convergent zones are still going on across a lot here of the Puget Sound. Convergent zones still going on. Clear out some of the things here. Close window. And if we look here, you can see the stuff moving through here. And this is kind of that Pacific moist air kind of running into some of this colder air that's now moving down across the Puget Sound right now. And it's been snowing for a while, but it's not showing up that much on the Doppler here. It's been between snow pellets, snow grains, regular old snow, and it has now dropped to right about freezing here in Normandy Park, right next to SeaTac here. I was up at Mill Creek doing my daughter's robotics competition today, and then we got about an inch in that, while the time we were up there today. So nice snowfall up there as well. I heard some places that Everett got over an inch as well. Let's see here. Let me bring it to the chat here. Loud and clear. Snowing here. Lacey, Washington. 32.1 degrees here in Normandy Park. 19 and blowing in Whatcom County. Yeah, we'll go over some of the Portland temperatures here and stuff as well as we go through the week here. When we look at the forecast here coming up. Yeah, it looks like it's starting to clear off a little bit from the north to the south, but there is still some moisture running up. You can see some of these showers still moving up towards Edmonds and Shoreline right now. And, you know, this could coat the roadway again out here as some of these showers are a little bit heavier. And I don't know if we're just further, I think it's just because we're further away from radar, but it is snowing still here in Normandy Park. It's just not showing up too well on some of the radar here for the Camino Island radar there. So what we were looking at when we started here was, you can see the northerlies coming down the sound. This is the convergence zone we've been talking about for I don't know how many days now, but it's been a while. 30 in Lake Stevens. Debbie Nelson, hello. Rain, snow, hail mixed for a while today. Snowing here in Newcastle, Washington. Boise to Seattle Tuesday night. That could be tricky because you're going to be off in eastern Washington too. And going over the pass is going to be pretty challenging. So hopefully she has nice tires and all-wheel drive. 17 in Sumas, Washington up there. Yes, that is a Sumas. Is that how you pronounce it? I forgot. But yeah, look at that up here in the Fraser River Valley. Look at some of these temperatures. Look at Hope, BC, -1 Fahrenheit up there. Look at Chilliwack, Mission, Abbotsford, Linden, White Rock, all down into the teens in the low 20s, Bellingham 21. Look at Friday Harbor 26. And the thing is, even down here, the road is pretty wet. And there's some little bit of slush on it and snow pellets and whatnot. And if that drops below freezing, which it's probably going to do here shortly, it's going to get ugly here tonight. Tuesday scenario on amounts. Man, the models have been in such flux with this system coming in here. So this is the latest. Let's go over, let's back this up. Let's go to winter and we'll go to total snow Kuchera here. And this is the European here at 18Z. And you can see, of course, the Cascades are piling up the snow as we speak. But you can see kind of that little convergence zone activity as we go in through tomorrow morning here. Euro kind of back up on that a little bit here. But as we go on into Tuesday, we're going to get this warm tongue come through here, and you can see it doesn't really paint that much snow. You can see you're getting another couple inches maybe for Seattle, but you see that snow line right across just north of Tacoma there, up towards Everett, San Juan's, Southwest BC. So, I mean, places Southwest BC are going to get another good shot of snow at this as well as some places Northwest Interior as this moisture moves in, but this might have initially turn to rain even a bit across some of the Puget Sound here. And it'll be interesting to see what happens as the cold front kind of passes by after that. But now take a look at this, because that's just one model here. You look at the European there. This is the GFS. Remember, the GFS has been warm for the last few days. Now the GFS has been on the cold trend, and watch what happens here as we go on into now. This is Tuesday shown here, and the GFS has this system plenty cold. And look at Seattle, Northwest Interior, Vancouver Island, Strait of Juan de Fuca there, Cascades. I mean, big snowfall totals here. And I don't know if I mean, obviously I lean a little bit more towards the European here as much as I'd like to believe the GFS, but it's interesting how it's trended colder here as well. And you can see the big rain snow shadow here for Eastern Washington, Oregon, and kind of, it sucks, but the Willamette Valley and Portland kind of left out here. Oregon coast, Washington coast, Southwest left out. But look at Pullman down there, Northeast Oregon, Spokane, Idaho Panhandle. Look at some of these snowfall totals, as there's going to be, it's a lot of cold air over there. So that any kind of precipitation that falls is going to be in the form of snow. It's going to be light, fluffy, and dry when you get east of the Cascades as well. So you're going to have a nice snow ratio over there also. But yeah, so you've got the differences there between the GFS and the European shown there. You can look at the Canadian as well. And it kind of paints a little bit of a snowy picture for Seattle up into the Northwest Interior. Look at some of these areas. Vancouver Island could get over a foot here if you believe the Canadian model shown there. But the models have just been kind of back and forth with this. We're still not getting that much consistency because now the GFS is just totally swung colder with this system. If we back up, let's back up to the GFS here really quick. I want to take a look at what the surface temperatures are doing as this system comes in and see if we can spot this low pressure system that comes in on Tuesday. Let's back up a little bit more so we can see a little bit further out. As we go through on into Tuesday morning, let's take a look. You can see the system come there, and you can see the warm tongue from the system on the GFS, but it does not make much headway into the interior here. And maybe it's onto something here, maybe it's not, but it does not turn Seattle above freezing there. You can kind of see it warms up places just south of Seattle here, but then you see the cold air just kind of get reinforced on the backside of that low here, and you drop down into the 20s on into Wednesday morning, not above freezing on Wednesday, very cold on in through Thursday morning as well. Some teens possible around the sound, some single digits away from the water a little bit. And look at the bitter cold temperatures east of the mountains here and over the Rockies, eastern BC. And then you go on into Thursday, and then we could set up a nasty transition as you see this very cold air. I mean, look at this. You got 19 in Seattle, and you've got up towards 50 degrees here on the Oregon coast. Big change. And look at Portland, 17 versus the coastal areas getting up towards 50. You can imagine that cold air trapped there. It's going to be some freezing rain possibilities. Okay, sorry, I'm rambling on a little bit here. I'll try to do some more Q&As here. Whistler, BC. I mean, any moisture that gets up in Whistler, yeah, the mountains are going to do great, but looks like Southwest BC has been doing awesome with this storm as well. Windy, a lot of snow going on. Why does the European? Well, it's complicated. We won't get into it too much here. I'll probably actually do a video that talks about the European versus the GFS and whatnot, and we'll go over some actual data. It's not that it's that much better even than the GFS. I mean, a lot of times the margin is quite narrow between the European and the GFS, the Euro just slightly edging out the GFS. Yeah, we're probably going to warm up by Christmas, guys. That kind of sucks. Lex Ray Cat, Maui. Where's my snow? Are you in Maui? It's kind of a tall task to bring snow down to Maui. Some snow flurries on Bainbridge Island. Going back through the chat here, we've got rain in Vancouver. Oh, Vancouver, Washington. Yeah. But I mean, you can see it's going to get pretty chilly here coming up, even if you GFS or the Euro. We're going to get pretty cold here on in through Tuesday night on in through Thursday. Is going to be pretty chilly. You're really going to feel it here, even west of the Cascades. Yeah, I mean, Tuesday offers some pretty good chances there, as you can see. The European, if you believe that, you go through the day Tuesday, and you can see additional snowfall out there coming on in here. The issue with Tuesday, again, is that warm tongue kind of moving up there, and it looks like as the cold front passes back through, it might change back over to snow for some of the central Puget Sound there. So really tricky forecast coming up here on the day Tuesday. But really, any place Everett north is going to be looking, any kind of precipitation that moves in here is going to be in the form of snowfall, almost certainly as we go on in through Tuesday into Wednesday. Yeah, let's zoom in on the Portland area here. That's a good idea. Let's go ahead and do that. We'll go to states, and we'll go to Oregon here. Actually, let's just go ahead and go into Portland here. I think it shows all the way up to the coastline, if I'm not mistaken. It does. Now let's go to surface temperature here. I want to show you guys this gradient here for Portland coming up here. So you can see the very cold air that starts to make its way in here. This is only 18Z, but you can see here, let's go ahead and we'll go out a little bit more. We'll go back to the 12Z here. It goes out a little bit further here. So this is as of Thursday morning. Look at some of the temperatures there into the mid-teens for Portland. And then you see that warm air start to approach. And look at how this cold air just remains trapped kind of in the Willamette Valley there. So this is going to be an interesting scenario for some possible freezing rain there. And look at behind the Cascades as well. So if there's any kind of easterly component to that wind, you can imagine that cold, dry air just keeps getting reinforced out across Portland. And that's why Portland is susceptible to those ice storms, because they have the sea level gap, really easy access to some very cold air. And it tends to be quite shallow by the time it gets into the Portland area there. So you can have that sub-freezing layer on the surface there, some warm Pacific moisture above it falling through that very cold air. Will North Seattle get snow that'll stick? You'll probably see snow that will stick on Tuesday. That's probably a pretty good bet as of this time. Whidbey, I heard that it's actually freezing up on Whidbey and whatnot too out there. Is that true? Yeah, Garrett's talking about it. You see Garrett mentioned the negative 14 millibar gradient, Troutdale of the Dalles gradients on Thursday. So you're going to have some easterly flow coming out there. That's going to be there's going to be a freezing rainstorm out there. Still snowing in Covington. What causes the consistent precip shadow in the northern Puget Sound northwest of Bellingham? Well, that is the Olympic Mountains. So if you zoom in a little bit there, we'll go to Pacific Northwest. Olympic Mountains are here, and we tend to get that southwest flow off the ocean here. And then you get the downsloping on the south, or not on the southwest, but the northeast side as the southwest winds hit the Olympic Mountains there. You get the downslopings here, and you can get that rain shadow up across some of Whidbey Island sometimes, Port Angeles, Sequim, San Juan's. So basically the answer to that is the Olympic Mountains. My dentist is in Shoreline. Think they'll be open tomorrow? I would think so. I'd call ahead, but I don't see why not. It's going to be slick tomorrow morning for sure, though, but they'll probably be out there treating the streets tonight. 32 degrees on Bainbridge Island. Spanaway snow on Tuesday. That's a tough call, because I think you're going to warm up above freezing, probably towards the 40-degree mark on Tuesday, but then it's going to chill down during the night, and it's just what kind of precipitation is that frontal system going to pack? So let's look at something here. Let's look at the Canadian, and let's look at Tuesday. Let's see if we can see that warm tongue move in on the Canadian model here. Now there goes that warm tongue. You can see it stretch all the way up to the little tip, Nia Bay there off the Washington coast there. And you can see that warm air surge. And look at this. You're talking about places like Edmonds and Shoreline still at freezing, and downtown Seattle at 41. So that's a pretty classic signature of a mid-latitude cyclone warm tongue shown there. But then watch. I mean, look at this temperature drop behind it. According to the Canadian, drops 11 degrees in just a 3-hour span, and potentially even faster during that. So then if we look at precipitation during this time in the last 3 hours, you can see on the back edge of this, you might turn it back over to snow. And if nothing else, you're probably going to freeze the roadways up across the Puget Sound as we go. Let's go back to temperature here. And you can see that 30, then you can see that cold air really march down the I-5 corridor. And by the time you get to Wednesday morning, you're talking about freezing temperatures for Portland, still below freezing for Seattle. And Wednesday may not get above freezing for Seattle, Tacoma, Olympia, and certainly not for the North Puget Sound into Southwest BC or Eastern Washington, that's for sure. 32 in Ocean Shores right now. Yeah, I might go out tonight. If the convergence zone starts setting up somewhere, I'm going to go out and I'll live stream from the car as well. Helena, Montana, -5 here. Wow. Yeah, then a rapid warm-up could be a wicked transition. Chris Haynes says down to 25 there in Victoria, BC, and now light flurries. Issaquah been snowing since 4:30. You know, I'm not even looking at the HER and the NAM. They are doing so terribly. The high resolution models are not even worth looking at right now. They are doing very poorly with these systems. They did poorly in late November and December, and they are doing poorly again right now. It's, you know, they earlier. I'll look at it just for fun here, but let's take a look at this. So if we go ahead and look at surface wind, and we zoom in on Seattle, we'll use Seattle in this example here because we're dealing with that battleground, that convergence zone kind of set up there. But you can see, oh, I don't have north winds. Well, I have a little bit of a northeast wind now. But if we back up, this one is just running here. So let's put this into motion here. You can see this had, as of about 5, they had the north winds all the way down the sound. And as of yesterday, they had these winds going down the sound much earlier, you know, and it's not been accurate. The precipitation maps are not accurate. So if we look at this here, I mean, what is this? This is 7 o'clock now. So this is what the Doppler radar, the HER, says it's going to look like across the Seattle Metro now. So if we actually pull up the Doppler radar, you can clearly see that's really not the case. We still have these bands going on around here, and they, you know, it's kind of coating the area around my house, and it doesn't show up that much, but the HER is not doing that well. It is not showing that precipitation that well. And the snowfall predictions have been even worse. If we go to winter and we go to, I mean, look at this. This is really, actually, well, let's give it a break there. We'll go to 24 hours here. But I mean, so when is this from? This is through Monday morning here. This would be 18Z shown. So I look at this, didn't pick up the snowfall. I've got probably 0.2 of an inch of snow here. I saw over an inch in Mill Creek. I know there's over an inch in Everett there. It's just not doing well as far as predicting snow placement or depth. Need to start putting money into improving our systems. Won't happen. Yeah, the problem is that we really, our observation setup is still not that great. I mean, we still launch balloons into the atmosphere. I mean, it's still, you think with our technology we could put more into it and fly some kind of drones or have some kind of automated drone fleet that would sample the atmosphere, especially during high impact weather events. Sam Raplet, it's been snowing here since about 3 p.m., 30 degrees, now about 2.5. Where are you, Sam? 32 Lay Hill, up by Green River there. Nice, I used to teach up there. Look at the stream of snow near Victoria. Is that straight effect from the wind blowing down the Strait of Juan to Fuca? So you must mean this. Yeah, I mean, the Arctic air is circling back off of Vancouver Island. Pretty short trajectory now, so it's picking up some of this warmth off the water here and depositing that back. So yeah, that's straight effect snow, yes. West Vancouver, 4.5. Oh, yeah, I saw J Repair there. Yeah, nice pictures there. I was jealous of that snow you guys got. Chances of ice storm decreasing for Washington? Not necessarily, but it's harder to trap cold air in the Puget Sound here, but it's not out of the question yet. We could still get freezing rain through the Puget Sound, and especially for the gaps of the Cascades, and especially up through like the Fraser River Gap and some of the Foothill Gap areas up north. Definitely is going to trap some cold air here. And it all depends on how strong the system is that moves off the coastline, really. I mean, if you just launch a system in here into this cold air, there's going to be cold air trapped in some of the gaps, especially. Gold Bar, 2 inches, lightly snowing. Very nice. How much snow for North Bend? I mean, what do you guys have out there in North Bend now? I would assume you're going to be doing pretty good here. You might warm up a bit Tuesday, but you'll probably crash back down pretty good on Tuesday night. Portland, you're looking at more ice coming up here. I mean, if Garrett, you're still watching here, what do you think as far as ice totals? I see what some of the models are outputting here, but I mean, yeah, KD1, we're just talking about that now, the freezing rain potential for the Columbia Gorge. Skagit Bay, stars have come out. Yeah, it's going to get cold. That stuff's going to freeze up overnight too now. How much snow? Yeah, Spokane's got big snow potential coming up here. I mean, Let's back out here, or let's go ahead and look at this map here. We'll go to the GFS and we will do winter and we'll do total snow Kuchera and look at some of these snow totals piling up over there for Spokane. I mean, up over 8 inches possible. Look at Pullman's going to get on the action. Idaho Panhandle, Western Montana as well. Big snows in the Cascades. Heads up if you guys are traveling for sure. Actually, this is the European. Did I say GFS? This is the European. But the European is still showing some measurable snowfall for the Seattle Metro also as we go on in through Tuesday night. Flying out on Alaska Wednesday morning. I would definitely call ahead about your flights. Anytime there's any snow of any kind or, you know, ice on planes that remain overnight, there's going to be delays. Eugene has a chance, I think, at some freezing rain as well, but I don't see much in the way of snowfall for Eugene or Salem down there. Not even for Portland, really, too much also. East Capitol Hill, 33 light snow sticking, 317 feet. I do not know much about the Aurora Borealis. I have a lot of friends who forecast it and try to, like, photograph it, but I do not know much about it. Port Angeles snow. Yeah, how much did Port Angeles get today? I know you guys were going to get some upslope and some of the models were hinting at that. How did that turn out? Is there still some snow going on there? Looks like it's still snowing a little bit towards Squim right now. Probably some straight effect snow going on here as we speak. What time are we on now? So this is 7:01, 3 minutes ago. It's tough to say. I'd have to look out the window, but I'm not going to do that right now. And taking a look here. So also I have my 32 degrees outside right now, dew point 30. I'm getting a bit of an east-northeast wind right now. Wind chill feels like 36 out there. Yeah, you can see our pressure gradients too. The Williams Lake Bellingham is actually reducing some, but that'll probably pick back up here over the next day or two. Banks, Oregon. Oh, Banks, that's west of Portland, I believe. Yeah, I used to have a friend that lived there. I stayed with them a couple of times out in Banks. So Garrett's talking about definitely lightened up the more recent runs for Thursday into Friday regarding freezing rain. Actually, the GFS has trended a little bit more snowfall. Yeah, the GFS definitely went colder here for sure. Model's been flip-flopping back and forth. Yeah, rain dancer stuck on the tarmac for 3 hours. That happens. I mean, airports, especially an airport like SeaTac, we do not get that much snowfall. So when it does happen, sometimes you're just not prepared. Because some years we go with very little snow, and if you're stocking a bunch of snow plows and de-icing equipment and whatnot, and you don't use it, then you're wasting money that way. Can you look at the RGEM? Yeah, let's look at that. Let's go ahead and look at. Let's do Washington because that includes Portland and BC as well. Oops, go back and we'll go to high resolution. We'll go to winter. We'll go to total snow Kuchera. And you can see some of the high resolution models not doing that great. It still shows some snow piling up kind of in the Seattle Metro a little bit there, but you know, we got more snow than this. The high resolution models have not been handling this that well. What day do I need to go through the pass before snow? I mean, they could shut down the pass really at any time, depending if conditions get bad enough. I would go as quickly as possible if you were going to go, but I would probably go on. Let's take a look at it here, actually. Let's go to European. We'll go to total snow Kuchera and just kind of, actually, we'll go to 24 hours so we can kind of look at what the timeline is here. I mean, tomorrow night's probably a good time to go over, but you can see some of those big totals rolling through there. Then you might want to wait until Wednesday night or something by that point. I recommend the Davis for the home weather stations. Even the Davis Vantage View is a very good home weather station to get. You can get it for $300 right now, and you can get the weather link for another $100. So it's $400 for a weather station that you can have and you can watch on your cell phone no matter where you go. So it's kind of fun to do that. And if you want to go up a little bit more, you get the Davis Vantage Pro 2, and you can co-locate the anemometer somewhere else. You can get a more accurate reading. The high resolution models have not been handling the Arctic fronts well at all. I'm not even really looking at them anymore. They're doing pretty poorly. How's weather South Sound? Well, it was snowing here in Normandy Park. I heard it was snowing in Auburn there as well. Port Angeles proper at sea level, no snow. 6 inches of snow, Port Moody, BC. Definitely Southwest BC was the winner today for sure. Yeah, Joshua, the Vantage Pro 2 is great. I highly recommend that weather station. There are going to be some areas on Thursday morning will be very cold. Yes, I mean, even if we look at a model like the European and we go to surface temperatures, actually we'll go to 24-hour min here. And by the time you get into Thursday morning here, you can see Seattle at 17. Look at some of the areas up north of Everett in the single digits there. Southwest BC. And if you go up into Snoqualmie Pass, you're going to be below 0 Fahrenheit there Thursday morning. And look at that. Eastern Washington, Eastern Oregon, the Gorge, Cascades of Oregon, pretty cold as well. All the way out towards portions of the Oregon coast also. Mount Baker Highway, Bellingham, nice. Yeah, fingers crossed. This just shows how hard it is to get snowfall in here sometimes. I mean, it looked good, and then it took it away, and then it brought it back, and now it's kind of waffling on the fence again here. Ravenna got a dusting. Yeah, I think that Southwest BC is definitely not done because the cold air is going to hang out there, as you can see. And if we back up towards, so this is Friday morning here, you can see very cold still in place here. Then there's going to be that Pacific system trying to run in there. And by the time you get into Friday night, you're still, Saturday morning still. Okay, so let's just look at the actual temperature here, though. I don't want to be getting a little too crazy here. Let's see when you go above freezing for Southwest BC. It looks like Friday afternoon, you finally go above freezing there. Thank you, Graybeard Gamer. Thank you for the support. But yeah, you can see, so the BC area and kind of the Puget Sound actually stays below freezing until Friday morning now as well. No, it can definitely go down. And like Garrett said, that has been trending downwards a little bit there for ice on in through the Portland area. And the GFS came in pretty cold, so we'll see what happens there. It's definitely colder than the European now. And so it actually brings a little bit of snow even down towards East Portland. What causes how fast the snow changes to rain come Friday? Temperatures are dew point 2. Well, it's both. I mean, so basically, let's take a look at that system. In fact, I've been so focused on this recent one that I haven't been looking at that system much. Let's back out a little bit here too as well. We'll go to Northwest and we'll take a look at this system. So what's going to happen here? You can see Tuesday's system come in there, and you can see that rain line get very close to Seattle shown there. Probably going to bring them above freezing there in Seattle. And then that system moves through. And then there's going to be very cold air behind this system that's going to get in place. And we're going to roll on in through Thursday. And by Friday morning, that next system rolls in here. If this precipitation delays and we get southerly winds working on this Arctic air mass, we're not going to get much of a freezing rain event because it'll scour that cold air out, and it'll be, you know, it might start as a light snow or some freezing rain for some locations, but it won't last that long. But if you bring that precipitation in quickly into that cold air mass, you're really going to create a freezing rain situation because the air aloft is pretty warm here by this time. So if we go to upper air temperature here and we look at 850 millibars, you notice it's not that warm. You know, it's above freezing actually here. This is 850 millibar temperatures in Celsius. This is above freezing at 5,000 feet. But if you go to the surface here, you're still below freezing. So you've got that interesting condition where you're warm aloft and you're very cold at the surface. You're going to bring that rain down through that freezing layer, and it's going to freeze on anything it comes in contact with. And we'll be able to see that in the soundings here as well. Actually, are we going to be able to see that? Because this is a little bit too far out there. So we'll do this. We'll go to weather models, pivotal weather. We can get a sounding of pivotal weather. Thank you, Nathan Gomez, for the support. Thank you, buddy. So yeah, you can see that freezing rain potential per Garrett. Salem North on Thursday, 1/4 inch. Yeah, and that cold pool, that's a good point too. The cold pool will be thicker closer to the gorge as well there also. So it depends on the strength of that system as it comes into the area. So forecast loop, that's correct. We'll go to regional and we'll go United States, Northwest. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take a look at the sounding here on that Friday morning here. Whoops. We want the high resolution model there. And we want, thanks for bearing with me here, clicking around all over the place. So if we go out to Friday morning here, and we just click on Portland, for example. Oh, I haven't logged in. Thanks for bearing with me, guys. I got to log in here. Okay, there we go. Oh, this doesn't show it here well. So GFS. That's because... Sorry, guys. Okay, let me check the chat here. Teleconnections. I'll probably look at that in a couple of days here. Oh, is the Camino Island radar down now? There, yeah, Barry Carr asked a good question about the model agreement for Tuesday. No, we have not come into great agreement with the Tuesday system yet. The GFS has turned colder now. And it looks like cold air is going to come in behind the warm-up on Tuesday, even on the European and the Canadian too, so it still could bring some snowfall. It is now snowing in Tacoma. Very good. Yeah, we're blind. So, okay, let's go ahead and look at, well, if we look at the GFS here, so you can see some of this freezing rain going on here. Let's take a look. Take a look right at the mouth of the gorge here. Now look at this. So the sounding gives you some possible hazard type. If you look on the right here, you see this freeze. Look at this temperature profile. This is insanity. You are in the mid-teens and you're above freezing here at 5,000 feet. So you've got this warm layer. You're going to have some, that would be some extreme icing going on here. If you've got rain falling through this column here, that might not even fall. Geez. I mean, that could just be snow, but it does say freeze at that point. I don't even know. That could still be snow down through the column at this point, depending. But you can see just how cold the surface is compared to the air aloft. Lake Stevens total snow accumulation through Friday. Good question, but I think that you're looking at probably more than 3 or 4 inches up there for Lake Stevens. I think that Tuesday system will probably be a good snowmaker. You probably get 2 to 3 inches out of that, I would think. Could easily overperform, actually. Yeah, the problem is Snowless in Seattle asked a good question. Are Cascades really that tall? Can't believe how hard it is for the cold air to reach us. Well, it has to kind of go through the Rockies as well. But you can bank it up across the interior of British Columbia here. This is actually a good thing for the windy map here. But you can see, here's the mountain range here. So you get this cold air that kind of builds up in here. But if it tries to move, you can see the Rockies are here too. So it has to go over the Rockies and then over the Cascades to get to us. And sometimes when it takes just the right trajectory down into central BC here, you can bring it in a little bit easier trajectory, but you still have to go over a mountain range here. Even though there is a lower level gap here, you're still bringing it over terrain. And still, when it comes off the coastline here, as you can see it wrapping off the coast of BC into Western Washington, you're still bringing it across terrain here too. Then you're warming this air up as it goes over the ocean, and then you're swinging it back into Western Washington, Southwest BC, and Oregon at that point. So you're really working on that air mass. It's very cold air, but still you're modifying it and it's moving over terrain, which causes compression and warming and all kinds of good stuff. South Tacoma got nothing. Yeah, you're not really your time yet down in Tacoma. It's still on its way. You might get some on Tuesday night. Arlington snowfall through Wednesday, probably, 2+ inches is probably coming your way north of Seattle coming on the day Tuesday. It's got overperformer written all over it for the north side of that warm tongue that I've been showing coming in here. So let's pick a little bit less extreme example. Let's go out towards Portland a little bit more here and see if we can get it there. It's a little bit better. But you can see that warm tongue at 5,000 feet, and that's what causes that freezing rain. See this temperature profile here where you're very cold at the surface, but you're fairly warm aloft. That's the potential for that freezing rain. Let's go up towards Olympia here and take a look at this. Yeah, you can see it here too, but it's really not that much above freezing here too. So it might be like a weird snow, rain, sleet, freezing rain mix as it comes down. That's a pretty deep cold layer though, 5,000 feet almost there. Aaron Green says, show the 00Z her. All right, let's take a look at the 0Z her here. As far as snowfall. Yeah, wow, what is the her doing here? Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, you can thanks, Aaron, for the laugh here. So look at the 00Z her. As you can see, we go through Tuesday morning, we start piling up the snow really Olympia northward through the Puget Sound. I mean, is that kind of a wacky? I don't remember the 18Z showing that, or maybe I didn't look, but that's kind of an interesting look at things here. Look at Blast Olympia and Tacoma. I don't have much confidence in this right now, but it is interesting to see. And I think, as I remember, I used to have a friend who worked with the HER and the physics of it, and he mentioned that it was driven by the GFS. It's just a higher resolution version of the GFS. But check out the GFS if you guys haven't seen this yet. I mean, look at the snowfall totals. These are 24-hour totals here that it brings in there. It's definitely turned much colder. And if we go to total snowfall Kuchera, you can see some really gaudy totals showing up here. And then even more snow as the transition takes place. I don't have much confidence in the GFS, but it's interesting to see. Snoqualmie Ridge north by Wednesday, you're probably going to get some pretty nice snowfall out there too as well. I-90, if you believe the GFS anyway. Actually, let's go back to the European. I don't like that's a little bit too much there. But this is by Thursday morning here. And you can see as you get off into I-90 here, once you get past, Lake Washington and whatnot, you get any terrain out here and you're going to start increasing that snow pretty rapidly. Lake Taps, 32.9, snowing. Portland to Pendleton on Friday night. Yeah, that could be interesting. Yeah, because it's going to be cold over there. Nice rain shot on the GFS, correct. Downtown Tacoma, snowing. Well, there's all kinds of different physics between the different models. They handle different information differently. They get their data differently. They process it differently. So there's just all kinds of things. Yeah, I'll take the GFS too. Now -1 in BC. Is that -1? What location is that? So Snoqualmie Ridge, 2 to 3 inches already. Yeah, you're going to get more for sure. More, very high confidence. What about the 0Z NAM 3KM run? Let's look at that too. Good idea. The weatherman there. Wow. Yeah. So now the high resolution models are all on board for Seattle here in Federal Way and Tacoma and off east. It'll be interesting to see what happens here. I'm hoping for something nice here to roll through here. Actually, let's back out a little bit here and let's look at the northwest and look at surface temperature. I want to see what it shows for this system coming in here Tuesday. Because again, this is a classic signature of a mid-latitude cyclone. You see this warm air out here bouncing around. Seattle's at 30 here. Portland's right at freezing there. Vancouver's up at 19. You can see that warm air move in there, but it doesn't make much headway and retreats down the coastline here. But now watch what happens when I go to the European here. You can see that warm nose move in there and really infiltrate the Puget Sound and then start down the coastline there. So we've got some pretty good model discrepancy between the NAM, the HER, the GFS, the European. So this is what we have to work out over the next couple of days. -5C on Vancouver Island, mid-Whidbey Island. You're a little bit closer to the Sound there, but I think you could probably expect some measurable snowfall on Tuesday, I would think. A lot of messages coming across, trying to answer them all here, but Federal White light snow. Ground looks wet, but 32 degrees. 32 still at my house. Now, dew point fell a little bit more here. I wonder if it's 30. This could be anywhere from 31.5 to 32.4. So I wonder what's going to happen with that. Let's go ahead and look at the windy map again here. If you guys didn't see this, I don't know, how often does this even update? But you can see the northerlies are making their way down the Puget Sound here. And you can see the onshore flow still bringing in that moist air into here. Kind of a battleground there right across the southern Seattle metro. Eugene, Oregon has a chance for some freezing rain. Yep, stay tuned for that as well. We'll go over that a little bit more tomorrow. PNA outlook. Okay, let's look at that. I've had a few questions about that. Let's go ahead and do it. We'll do the teleconnections. We'll do the European deterministic. Do Pacific North American oscillation. And you can see we're going to go, that kind of correlates with our warm-up coming up here, folks. If we go to the ensemble here, looks out into the new year here, we drop back down a little bit again. But I don't put too much stock in this just yet, because this is not, I think it's good for the warm-up here. And then this is going to be kind of an iffy transition period there. Get a kink in my neck there. 17 degrees in Ferndale. Wow, nice. 28 in Marysville. East Puget Sound lowlands are most likely going to make out pretty well. The farther north you are, the better the snowfall should be. Tiny dry flakes at sea level of Bellingham. I'm sure it's nice and cold up there too. Who cares about Puget Sound? Unfortunately, a lot of people do. 15 degrees in the Fraser Valley with strong outflow. Very wintry. Yeah, Keith Evans, a lot of moisture coming down the strait. Let's actually look at that Doppler here. So is the Camano Island radar really out? Is that true? Well, it looks like it's going. I don't know. Yeah, North Whidbey could get some snow out of that. And so you look out towards Langley, it doesn't give you much help either. I mean, we are getting moisture off the Pacific here, but it's not showing up really until it hits kind of this little bit colder air mass as you come inland a little bit more here. We look at the strength of the Arctic high. Yeah, let's do that. So if we look at the European, we'll go ahead and look at pressure, and we'll do anomaly, in fact, even. Back it up. So you can see we're going to get some multiple waves of that colder air moving down into BC here. You can see the wave move through on Tuesday too. Check this out. You can see it out here. Here we go on very early Tuesday morning. Makes it March. This is going to be so interesting to see what this thing finally does when it comes in here. But you can see how the European kind of opens up the trough over us here. And it's going to bring that warm temperature back in there. Jim Downey, thanks for the support there. Why does the precip nearly go around Benton County, Washington? Been here 63 years. When let's get going. Benton County. Are you talking about Eastern? Let me just bring that up here really quick here. I want to be precise. Benton County, Missouri. Yeah, I guess I better be specific, huh? Okay, so you guys are in the rain shadow out there. That's why. You guys just don't have much precipitation to deal with. A big mountain range in the way out here, out towards Kennewick, Tri-Cities and whatnot. I talked about a little bit in my briefing today. You just don't have a lot of precipitation to work with out there. Sometimes you'll get the lows that'll come down south of you and spin moisture back up over you, and you'll get some snowfall that way, but it's tough to get moisture over there. That's why you're pretty much in a desert out there. That's why you're the Tri-City dust devils, right? Shows up better on the infrared satellite loop. Let's take a look. Yeah, you can see this moisture still streaming in here. You can see the Seattle Metro lights, Portland there, Tri-Cities, Yakima out here, Spokane, Vancouver, and you can see this moisture continue to stream into the area here. And is this yeah, this should be interesting too. So watch this. Here goes. This is Tuesday's system out here already. It's going to try to get sucked underneath this Arctic high here. This is going to be crazy because it's going to overperform for some areas. Some areas are going to get hit really hard, probably Seattle north and possibly even Seattle. Snoqualmie Parkway, people are abandoning their cars in the middle of the road all the way up the hill. Wow. Eugene, Oregon, freezing rain this week. Yes, there's possibility for freezing rain. Salem, Oregon, Portland this week. Window is not maximized. Jonathan Pulley. Yeah, we were just looking at that. We were that is kind of a crazy look there on the NAM 3KM. And that's what we were looking at actually here. I want to see that warm tongue again. Look at that warm tongue in there. You can clearly see that mid-latitude cyclone. The southerly, southwesterly winds reach up there, and it just does not make any headway except on the immediate Washington coastline there. And then slide south, and the temperatures start to crash behind that. But yeah, that would be a dynamic snowfall for Seattle. Even down towards Olympia and Tacoma. North of Seattle would get a lot of moisture out of this as well. And let's watch this system move in. You can see it just kind of spread precipitation. I mean, this looks like an accurate depiction of what would happen if that system comes in at that location there. And you can see it spreads moisture all the way up across Vancouver Island into southwest BC. This would really be quite a storm here for the Pacific Northwest. We really have a chance here to bring in some very significant snowfall across the region with this storm on Tuesday. It is potentially very potent. No, I have to go here probably in the next 15 minutes. I can't stay on that long. I have to go get my kids. Can you show the next few days of the dew point map? Yeah, let's do that. Let's bring up actually the GFS. Just because it was so cold, we'll do this kind of for interesting perspective on things here. But dew point is the temperature at which you have to you'd have to lower the temperature to saturate the atmosphere. So basically, if you're looking at 31 here, if your temperature is 40, you'd have to drop 9 degrees to 31 to create fog or saturate the atmosphere. This is not the actual temperature we are looking at here, folks. So you can see the very dry air cascades all the way up through the Fraser River Valley, southwest BC there. Go into Tuesday here. You can see it kind of here as that system approaches. It does pull out a little bit of dry air into the Portland metro here on early Tuesday morning. Then that system punches some moist air back in here, clears it out, and you can see that frontal system drive down the Oregon coast there. Dry air comes back across the region, and then look in the wake of that across Portland. You can really see it blast out through the gorge there. Very interesting. I mean, look at that. You're all the way down to 0 Fahrenheit there for Portland, while Seattle is still in the mid-teens here. The air is more moist here because you've got the axis and the sea level gap here. Yeah, so that's a good map here. That was a good idea. Stand by 1 minute here. I got something going on outside the door. Okay, guys, sorry about that. I'm back. But yeah, good map there. Nice dew point depiction there. And you can see how it gets much drier in Portland there versus Seattle. Nothing for get wet. What's going on in Gig Harbor right now? No, you have some potential for some snowfall here coming up on Tuesday. You know, tonight was kind of a hit or miss thing. There's still some places that are going to get some moisture and some snowfall tonight. But let's take a look at this GFS again for you snow lovers. We'll just look at it for the pure gluttony of the situation here. Check out some of the snowfall coming across the Central Sound, Northwest Interior. And that's what Garrett was talking about there. Show some snowfall popping up as we go on and through Thursday night into Friday morning, shown there. You can kind of see that activity there. Which is more reliable, Weather Channel or AccuWeather? I actually do not know the answer to that question. They're probably gathering their data from different models. Yeah, you guys like the Dust Devil t-shirt there? I bought several t-shirts for my son, and I got myself a couple things too, just to have them. Gluttony. Yeah, the GFS is just pure, unadulterated snow map here, unless you live Portland South along the Oregon coast there, or Eastern Washington there. Yeah, the weatherman. Yeah, we were talking about the 18-0. The European model there really brings that warm tongue in. So again, watch this come in. This is what is the big key on Tuesday. Can you guys see this big warm tongue here that system tries to bring in here? Some of the models show similar position here, but like the European and the Canadian really show this warm tongue marching into the Puget Sound here and warming up things all the way towards Everett, but then crashing things back down as we go through Tuesday night. So it'll be interesting to see which model is right. If you look at the NAM 3KM for there, that warm tongue is in a similar position out there, but does not make it near as far inland. And I believe the same thing was showing up on the HER 3KM here as well. Back up to the 0Z. And you can see that warm front, or that nose of warm air here coming up there with the southwesterlies. That storm tries to dive inland here, but it really only gets towards Chehalis there. Does not get even to Olympia there. And if we look at the Canadian, similar thing here, further north extent, you can see it really surge into the sound, but then temperatures just crash really quickly behind it. So quite an interesting system there on Tuesday. Channel 5 said they're using the European. The movie 7, yeah, that was a interesting movie. I don't use the icon that much. It seems a little bit, I don't know. It doesn't seem as reliable to me as the European anyway. It might be in the general neighborhood of the GFS, but really when you break things down, models aren't that bad. The European, when it beats the GFS, it's not by a lot usually. Yeah, I think if the low even comes in 50 miles south of where it's modeled, it's going to really hammer the Central Sound. Ording trying to snow, how much precipitation in that tongue. Yeah, let's go ahead and look at that too. So here we go. Actually, let's just run 6-hour totals here, and we can see as we go through the day Tuesday. I mean, not a lot when that warm air comes in. On the back side of it, though, you can see the Canadian by this time here is showing the temperatures crashing below freezing. So there could be some snow on the back side of that front as it moves across the Puget Sound, which is kind of unusual for our area, too. We usually don't get that strong of cold fronts across the region, but the Canadian's really showing it. Then you see kind of convergent zone activity across the Central Sound as you go on, even all the way through Wednesday as well, too. Then the Canadian, here comes that next system here as we go on to Thursday night there. And let's take a look at the freezing rain with that too. I know the Canadian was kind of bullish on the freezing rain potential there. Yeah, look at that gorge in Portland here. It's showing some gaudy totals there. Not much north of Seattle, a little bit more towards Bellingham there, but Tacoma and Olympia maybe a little bit. Yeah, any moisture that gets up there, that this system comes in like it's showing on the North Washington coast, Southwest BC is going to get hammered again too. Tuesday is upslope going to Briareus and Port Angeles. I don't know about that. I don't think that's, well, you could, because there's going to be some north winds behind that front as well. So I won't just rule that out off the top of my head here. Let's look at precipitation. We'll look at 12-hour totals here. But you can kind of see, let's see, it's back up to Tuesday morning here. And that system comes in, and there is some rain shadowing going on here. Dan Chaplick, welcome to Basic Channel Support. Thank you very much. You can see the rain shadow kind of hanging out here. Maybe some precip making it down towards Port Angeles in the wake of that frontal system there. But this is going to be a nasty front. I mean, this thing is just going to really come down as a strong storm across the Cascades. You do not want to be traveling probably Tuesday late evening through Wednesday morning across the Cascades. It's going to be quite nasty. Composite reflectivity. Where am I looking at here on my... Yep, here we go. Why does it look so different? Did they download a different... Did that update? Yeah. Brian Massey, welcome to Basic Channel Support. Thanks, buddy. Snowing hard in downtown Tacoma right now. Should I ask, when do you think the freezing rain? So what? I think that would be Friday afternoon. I think that should be over by that point. Really light snow again in Federal Way, says the weatherman. Saturday or Sunday, even in the gorge. Okay. Garrett Hartung is the Oregon gorge expert down there. Lots of snow, some freezing rain Thursday night in the gorge. So as you get closer to Portland, that's going to change over quicker. But yeah, there's going to be cold air trapped back there in eastern Oregon and Washington for sure. Mukilteo to Seattle Tuesday, driving back around 4:30 p.m. You might be all right. It's going to be so close because some of the models say you're going to be dealing with snowfall and some of them say you're going to be dealing with 38 and some rain. But then after that, switching back to snow potentially. So we've got big model disagreement. Tune back in tomorrow morning. We'll have better model agreement. I'm pretty sure by tomorrow morning. If the European and the Canadian still show that worm tongue moving in there, then it's probably a pretty good bet that's going to happen because I favor those models over the high resolution models at this point. Can I explain what causes freezing rain? Basically, it's when you have a system as such. So let's go ahead and look at this. Let's do GFS. We'll look at surface temperature here, and I'll show what I showed just a little bit ago. So, oh, the 0Z GFS is running. Look at that. So if we go on into Friday morning here, look at Portland here. You can clearly see the cold air banked up into the gorge here and into Portland here. And you see the very warm air on the Oregon coast there. Now look at this 16Z. Let's go all the way towards 0Z on Friday afternoon, about 4 p.m. Portland's at 25 degrees here. Now watch what happens when we go to the upper air temperature, 850 millibars. Look at that. It's above freezing at 5,000 feet, and it's 25 degrees Fahrenheit at the surface. So you're going to have a layer of cold air at the surface there, and you're going to have rain falling into it. And when the rain falls into freezing air, you know what happens. You create that glaze and that freezing rain and ice. $34, no rain in Shelton. Yeah, you're a little bit rain shadowed right now. You can kind of see that Doppler moving around as we go here. Looks like it's continuing to fill in right as it reaches the Puget Sound here. So there's some kind of convergence still going on. There's still some onshore flow with moisture riding back up over some of these northerlies around the area here. And I wonder if we've updated the temperature here at my house. No, still 32 degrees it looks like. This could be 31.5 or 32.4, but thank you, Zachary. Yeah, I'll actually look at that tomorrow because I've heard about the cold front. I've actually looked at it a few days ago, that cold air just blasting down the continent out there. So we'll go ahead and look at that Texas stuff too as well, because that really hits those people hard out there. They're not used to that cold air. Happy Valley covered in snow, more than the town of Sequim. Very nice. So yeah, okay, I got to get going here, guys, but I will do my briefing as per normal tomorrow morning. Dan Chaplick, second tier channel support. Thank you very much, sir. Mark Vasquez, going from Seattle to Skycomish. Tomorrow, returning Thursday. Yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about the freezing rain in the Puget Sound yet. We still have a couple days to look at that. The snowfall potential coming up is much more worrying as we go through Tuesday night. So tomorrow morning, we're going to have a much better idea. So really north of Seattle, though, watch out on Tuesday because we could get hit really hard. The storm could easily overperform all the way up through Southwest BC. And really, there's a huge battleground going across some portions of the Puget Sound. And we have to really watch where that warm air gets in. And then we have to worry about the freezing after that warm air comes through. Aberdeen, you're probably going to be a little bit too warm on Tuesday, and it's probably going to be mostly rain out there. Yeah, thanks, Weatherman. Thanks, everybody who stopped by. Thanks, Garrett Hartung. Thanks, everybody who sent and supported the channel today. Thanks to all my new members. You guys are awesome. I'm going to go out there and see if it's still snowing upstairs and go get the family in order for the night. And I will talk to you guys tomorrow. I'll do the briefing as normal per tomorrow. And if things look crazy again, I'll do another live stream tomorrow night. We'll do some more Q&As. It's kind of fun just watching you guys. You guys ask good questions. I brought up a lot of weather maps that, sometimes I get one track mind and I don't think of a lot of things, and you guys give me a lot of questions to go ahead and search and look at, and we look at different things. It's really fun. So